What's going on, guys? This is Bryce. I am the unnamed YouTuber, and I'm going to be coming at you with a Dark World deck profile today. It's a pretty good deck. I'd place it at solid tier 2 this format. Some decks aren't as annoying for this deck anymore as they used to be, but there's a lot of side deck cards that'll put you in a lot of trouble. This is my turbo build. This is just the way I like to run Dark Worlds. You can run it different, but this is just how I do it. So we're going to start off with 3 Grapha, 3 Snow, 3 Brow. That's in pretty much every Dark World build ever. This is also full hollow because I spent money hollowing this deck out. Because this is like the first real deck I ever really made. Means something to me, so I hollowed it out. I have my gold rare Graphas. Yay. So yeah, 3 Grapha, 3 Snow, 3 Brow. Pretty standard in every Dark World build ever. I will be running 3 tour guides. I like running 3 because they can each summon Brow, or if you find yourself in a position where you have 2 tour guides left in your deck, all 3 Brow are in the graveyard, you can get another tour guide and still make a rank 3. Now, a lot of people don't agree with what I'm about to say next, but I do run 3 beige. A lot of people only want to run 1, and I used to only run 1, but I've found that I like 3 beige. He's a nice 1900 beater with gates on the field, simple effect. When he's discarded, you special summon him. He can also be normal summoned easily because he's level 4. You can go into rank 4s really easy. And I run a few rank 4s, so I do like the 3 beige. I will be running 2 Silva. This is your Silva's a nice beater with gates on the field. He's a 26 beater with gates on the field. And since he goes to 2600 attack points, he is also capable to be targeted by Eradicator Epidemic Virus instead of targeting a Grapha. Or if you don't have a Grapha out, you can target this guy with Eradicator. This is also a rank 5 play. If you get 2 of these guys out, you can make Adreus Keeper of Armageddon, and that's just a good card. That's our monster core. So this deck doesn't really run many monsters. It really doesn't. Next to 1 Gateway. This is kind of a quick play monster reborn. You want to run 1, in my opinion, because you can activate in your opponent's end phase, get a Snow, then in your turn bounce it for Grapha. The stipulation is that you can't special summon any other monsters the turn you activate this card, so you want to activate in your opponent's end phase. 1 Dark Hole, for obvious reasons. It's just a staple, very splashable. 1 Foolish Burial. You can Foolish Burial a Grapha, normal summon a beige, bounce it. It's pretty good first turn Grapha card. 3 Gates. This is your field card. Is very integral to your to your success in this deck. 3 Upstart Goblin. I got these when they were $4 before the Patrick Hoban thing, so don't think I'm too rich now. Upstart Goblin we're going to be running because for more consistently, it's basically like running a 37 card deck. With this deck, how easily you can get out a 3K beater, which is Grapha. Giving your opponent 3,000 more life points isn't really that much of a handicap. 3 Drag Down. Very good card. You can mess with your opponent's hand, take out all their good cards, and when they pick something out of your hand, it helps you because that's how your monsters get your effects in Dark World. 3 Dark World Dealings. For obvious reason, just draw a card, discard a card. Helps you get your effect off and helps you draw. 2 Into the Void. If you have 3 or more cards in your hand, you activate this card, and your end phase discard all the cards in your hand. And it has been ruled at multiple high-level tournaments that if Into the Void is one of the 3 cards in your hand, it can be activated. So, for example, you could have this, and you could have this could be your hand, right? And Into the Void is going to count as one of these 3. So you can play this card, draw your card from Into the Void. Now you have 3 cards in your hand, and you have to discard them all in your end phase. And if you draw a Tour Guide, you can summon it. If you draw a Spell or Trap, you can set it. Then in your end phase, you'll get these 2 Grapha pops. You run 2 of it because sometimes 3 can be a bit cloggy. I'm going to main deck 1 Mind Crush. If your opponent is searching, you can for example, they're playing Fire Fist. You can they search a tanky. They activate tanky, search a bear, a wolf bark. You know, okay, Mind Crush, Coach Social Wolf Bark, or Brother Fire Fist Bear. Or if you're in a spot where you really need to discard Mind Crush, Now, a stipulation of Mind Crush is that you can't call a banned card to make sure that you can't call a banned card. So what I like to do is call Griffin Wing, and Griffin Wing is a card that if your opponent activates Harpy's Feather Duster, you can activate that and negate the activation of. It's like negate the activation of Harpy's Feather Duster or something, or it makes their cards get destroyed. So that's not banned, so you can call Griffin Wing, but you cannot call banned cards with Mind Crush. And if you're wrong on Mind Crush, you discard a random card from your hand that your opponent chooses. Well, if the only cards in your hand are Dark World monsters, you still discard them and get their effects. One compulsory. This is a good staple card for any deck. One Dark Smog. This card, you target a monster in your opponent's graveyard. Now that is the cost. As you may know, that if a Dark World monster is discarded due to cost, it does not get its effect. Targeting is the cost on Dark Smog. So you target their monster in their graveyard, discard a fiend, and banish that target. So as long as you can discard fiends, and all the Dark World monsters are fiends, and they get their effects when they're discarded, you can just banish everything in your opponent's graveyard, which really hurts them if they're playing Fire Fist. They summon a Wolf Bark. You activate this. You ask them what is their target on their Wolf Bark. You can chain this Dark Smog. It's also a continuous trap. You can activate. You can declare that your target is going to be their target for their Wolf Bark, and they cannot reselect the target. And then you discard your fiend. That target gets banished. They cannot reselect the target. They have to wait till their next turn, and maybe you'll beat over that Wolf Bark in your turn, so it won't even matter. Eradicator Epidemic Virus for obvious reasons. You tribute a dark monster 2500 or more attack and call spell or traps. All the ones in your opponent's field, all the ones in their hand, all the ones they draw for the next 3 turns are destroyed if it is the type you call it. And this card is really good because you get to reveal it. They reveal, like when they draw their card after you've activated this card, they still reveal it to you, so you can see what it is. That also helps you with Mind Crush and also Drag Down. You see their hand a ton, so even if they don't search, you could probably know what's in it because you're using Mind Crush. And 2 Mirror Force, because Mirror Force is a good trap for a staple for pretty much any deck. It saves you at a lot of tight spots. Your opponent has 5 monsters on their field, they attack right into a Mirror Force, you can maybe win next turn because you can get 3 Graph on the field in no time. That's what this deck does. Moving on to the extra deck. This is a 14 card extra deck because I do not have a 15th card. I'm really unsure as to what to run, but I'll explain that. Number 49, Fortune Tune. This is a good, if you run into time and you top deck a Tour Guide, this is a very good time card. You get 500 life points every standby phase. You can detach 1 to avoid destruction, and it cannot be targeted by card effects. And when this card goes to the graveyard, you can shuffle 2 level 3 materials, and the 2 level 3 monsters, and this card back into the decks. Their respective decks. Like this will go back to the extra deck, and then at 2 level 3 monsters will go back to the main deck. And they do not have to be the materials used. But normally you send a Tour Guide and a Brow, and you make this again. Levia the Sea Dragon. You can get level 4 or lower banished monsters back with this card. So what you can do is if you have a Graph in the grave and a Snow banished, you can get your Snow back to the field, bounce it for Graph, and you can plus off the Levier play. Leviathan Dragon. Good 2500 beater. It starts off at 2000, then you activate its effect, becomes 25. And if you really need to beat over something, you can make it 3000, but then it can't attack directly if it has no materials. Acid Golem. Now you're side decking Skill Drain, and you can make this card, and it becomes 3000 beater. It's just a good card to have in any deck that can main deck or side deck Skill Drain. Moving on to rank 4s. Evil Swarm Nightmare. This card, your opponent special summons, you can detach 1, and the monster they special summon gets Book of Moon. It has 1950 defense, 950 attack. You normally want to summon this guy in defense mode, and that effect does not target. It's a pretty good thing to have. It takes 2 level 4 darks, but every monster of this deck is dark, in the main deck at least. To make it, it's just it's a general good card to run in defense mode. It saves you from a lot of annoying monsters that will get special summoned. Maestroke the Symphony Djinn. This is a very good card to run in pretty much any deck that make rank 4s. It's Book of Moon on legs. It can also detach from itself to avoid destruction. Gaga Cowboy. This card will get you out in a pinch. Also, you can also I've never really seen people summon this card in attack mode, but it's a formidable card in attack mode. It it goes up to 2,500, and your opponent's monster that attacks. It's a formidable card in attack mode. But most people use it in defense mode because the effect will make your opponent take 800 damage. So if they are 800 life points or less, you can make this card and win the game. It's a very good card to have. Evil Swarm Thanatos. This card is a 2350, 2650 with gates in the field because it is a fiend. I also forgot to mention that Maestroke is a fiend, and so is Evil Swarm Nightmare, so they will all get 300 attack and defense from gates. And Evil Swarm Thanatos is once per turn. During either player's turn, you can detach one, and this face-up card is unaffected by other monster effects this turn. So if your opponent summons a bear and they try to pop your this monster, you can chain this guy's effects. So that bear, they still pay their tanky, and that bear effect fizzles. They can't reselect a target. It'll try to target this guy, and then this guy is unaffected by monster effects. Good card. Crazy Box. This guy is a fiend too, so he's a 3,300 with gates on the field. And if you get skill drain and make this guy, he's very good. And he's a 3,300 beater. Also, if you want to take the chance, the only bad things that happen is you rolling a 1 or a 6. Rolling 2 through 5, good things will happen. 1, you have your life points. 2, you draw a card. 3, your opponent discards a card. 4, you negate the effects of one face-up card on the field at the end of the turn. You normally would pick Crazy Box so he can attack, because normally this card cannot attack. 5, you destroy a card on the field, and 6, you destroy it itself. So rolling 2 through 5 is good. Rolling 1 or 6 is bad. So normally you make this guy when you really need maybe a 3k wall or a 3,300 beat stick, depending on if you have gates or not. He's still a good beat stick, even without gates. But if you have skill drain, he's really good because you can attack with him regardless of his effects, saying that you normally cannot attack because skill drain negates effects. As I talked about before, Dreas, Keeper of Armageddon. You can attach a material, target a face-up card your opponent controls, and destroy it. 2,600 attack, 29 with gates on the field, because he is a fiend. And moving on to rank 8s, number 15, Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. You can attach a material, target a special summon monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if it was an XYZ monster, inflict damage equal to its original attack to your opponent. It has a 2,500 defense, so you basically summon in defense mode, and maybe target that Tiger King your opponent has, or that Evil Swarm Oath. Well, actually, if you had Ophion, you would be able to summon this card, but target that Constellar Pleiades, maybe, or, well, they'd probably bounce this if you had Pleiades, but if they didn't, you could target something they have, and hope it's the XYZ monster getting some good damage. This guy's also a 2,500, but he is a machine, though, so no gates boost. If you're adding Sun Dragon Overlord, you can tribute monsters from hand or the field, and you can destroy equal number of cards. This card basically can be a field wipe if you have a lot of monsters in your hand you don't need. However, it does tribute, it does not discard, so you won't get your effects from tributing from hand. And now, my favorite card in the entire game, probably, number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. At the start of your battle phase, detach 1. It Fiendish Chains everything. Everything returns to its original attack and defense. And if I do any of these during the battle phase this turn, each time an opponent card effect resolves, this card gains 1,000 attack and can attack again for each battle phase. It's a very good card, especially against Battle and Boxer, because Lead Yoke's effect gets negated and Lead Yoke returns back to 2,200 attack. Sorry about that. This card wins games. It's a dragon, has 3,000 attack points. Just 2 level 8s. This card just wins games because of its global Fiendish Chain. Because the Fiendish Chain part lasts forever. So it globally negates all monster effects. It's a good card. The last card, number 22, Zombie Stein, however you want to pronounce it. This guy takes 2 level 8 darks. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can attach a material. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, target a face-up card your opponent controls. You change this guy to defense mode and negate that face-up card's effects till the end phase. He has 1,000 defense points, so his effects you might not really want to use I'm not. You could use this effect, but his real power is he has a 4,500 beater. He has 4,500 attack points. So even if your opponent summons Obelisk the Tormentor, you can beat over Obelisk the Tormentor with this card. And I was talking about before, this is only 14 cards. So you can put in any card you want. I just couldn't decide over like Diamond Direwolf or like maybe if I had money, Exciton Knight or number 101 Silent Honor Arc or Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. There's so many good cards that can take up that one spot. I just can't decide, nor do I have the money to go get them. Now moving on to the side deck. 3 MST. You side out the Upstart Goblins game 1. Because game 1, you're supposed to push for game. Just overwhelm your opponent because it's turbo. So these in game 2 and 3, you stall for your win. These get replaced by the Upstart Goblins. These replace the Upstart Goblins game 2. And you have your side deck Mind Crush in case your opponent is searching. You can side this in, null their searches a little bit, like gadgets. 2 goes a match because you're only playing Dark Monsters. So what does it matter if you activate this card? It doesn't hurt you. But if your opponent's playing something that has a lot of different attributes, then it will hurt them. Now we're going to side deck Devastation Virus. Because in this format, this card does not hurt as many decks as it used to. For example, I keep going back to Fire Fist, but it's very relevant because a lot of people play it. This card doesn't hurt Fire Fist at all. But if your opponent's playing gadgets, they cry. So we're going to side deck this card. Simply because there's too many decks that it just doesn't hurt. And that are relevant. Now, I know what you're thinking. These 3 cards aren't the same, but they should be. 1 Twister. 2 Iron Wall. You might be saying, why would you have Iron Wall? You have Gates of Dark World, you need to banish for that. Well, I was contemplating whether I should keep this in because I was like, okay, if your opponent activates Macrocosmos or Dimensional Fissure, which are very hurting to this deck, because those banish any cards sent to the graveyard. Well, D-Fissure banishes monsters, Macro does all cards, but if you discard a card, it needs to go to the graveyard to get its effect instead of being banished. That really hurts. So I was like, okay, Imperial Iron Wall, well, we'll negate those cards. And my friends were like, no, just run 3 Twister. You can destroy those face-up cards. I'm like, oh, well, no. Imperial Iron Wall, DD Crow. They can't DD Crow anything if Iron Wall is on the field. So you can either run 3 Twister or 1 Twister, 2 Iron Wall. I like Iron Walls. That's just me. Moving on. Side deck 2 Skill Drain. Skill Drain is very good. You only run 3 monsters that have effects. That have effects to activate on the field, and they're all the same thing, which are Tour Guides. 2 Light Imprisoning Mirror for those Stellar players, or those can't really think of any relevant light decks this format. Stellar is like the only one I think of at the moment. And Night Beam. This card is a pretty good card. If your opponent's setting a lot of back row, this card is better than Blind Mystical Space Typhoon or something because they can't chain the card you target with this card. This is an ultimate rare Night Beam. It is not first ed though, so yeah. It's not even first ed. Yeah. So that's my Dark World deck profile. It's really I like Dark Worlds. They've always had a special place in my heart because it was the first deck I really learned and played my first tournaments with. I actually talked with them before at locals. I like it. You're entitled to run whatever you want, but that's just what I run in my Dark Worlds. If I had to choose between Exciton or something, or for extra deck card, if I had money, I'd probably go with either Exciton or Arc Knight. As it is now, I would probably go with Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, just for me, because I don't feel like spending $70. What is it, 70 for an Exciton? Yeah, probably around 70 for an Exciton. Secret tech, okay. We're going to put Dracosack in there and then run double Star Changers so we can Star Change with 2 graphics to make Dracosack. I'm kidding, of course. Don't actually do that. That's probably a terrible idea. Yeah, that's just my Dark World deck. That's how I like it. You can run what you want. Or you can choose to not run Dark Worlds at all. Test it out on DevPro, see how it works for you, and if you want to build it in real life, you can net deck me all you want. In my opinion, it's an honor to be net decked because that means somebody liked my build so much that they wanted to run the exact same thing. And that would be an honor. Some people don't like being net decked, so like, oh man, you're copying me. If people copy me, that would feel great, amazing, because that means they like my deck so much they wanted to copy my exact deck. That's my Dark World, though. It's my Dark Worlds. I really like them. Grapha for life. Snow, my BB. No, I'm kidding. This has been the unnamed YouTuber here with Dark Worlds. I will see you guys next time I post a video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you liked my content and would like to see more. Like and share this video. It helps the channel out. It helps the channel grow. And I would love to see this channel grow. That'd be pretty great. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.